All right. Says we're live.
Cool. We are live indeed. Good day, Internet.
Yeah. Good morning
It
and
is
good
hot.
afternoon, wherever you are.
It is hot and humid as the ever living up here in Vermont. How's it?
Oh, is
How's
it?
it?
Yeah.
How's Hawaii in the morning doing for you, Eric?
It's nice and cool in the mornings. Yeah, the daytimes have been really hot and muggy as well.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect weather to get shit done. Just kidding, right? Like when the
Yeah,
weather's
right.
hot
I
and
know.
humid, like you have to build up your power sometimes, right? So we were just talking. You just did this awesome live stream and got some good shit done yesterday after
Totally.
our email empire call. I think that's a great place to start. Guys, if you're just tuning in, let us know you're here. If you want to say hi, hit us with your questions or let us know your name. And hey, if you know us and you want to join in, you want to join the conversation, say something and we'll send you a link so you can join in on a live stream. Um, so Eric, what happened with you yesterday in terms of productivity? What was this moment that caused you to create a whole live stream about it last night?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So the past several weeks, I've been procrastinating on executing on something to do, which was to get my new funnel up and running and in place. And I was just kind of like in a state of analysis paralysis for quite a while and just kind of like had a mental block on it. And I was using that as that mental block as on a subconscious level as an excuse to not do the thing. And what changed that to help me get through it was having you set a deadline for me.
Aha!
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So yeah, you asked me if I was willing to set the deadline to have the system set up and in place and active and live by midnight yesterday.
Yeah, so we had a call yesterday at noon Eastern for our email empire clients, which Eric is one, and and you're 6 hours earlier, right?
Yep.
So it was like 6 a.m. your time, noon my time, and the deadline that I pitched you was midnight. I assumed it was going to be your midnight, just to
Yeah.
give you the extra
It
few
was.
hours,
Yep.
right? And but explain to everybody exactly what the goal was for you to get done by midnight.
Okay. So yeah, it was to get a new funnel in place, which is basically an automated system to grow an email list and nurture that email list through email broadcasts and that kind of thing.
I would like to clarify for everybody is when we say a new funnel in place, though it is a funnel, it's a very simple funnel, right?
Right.
Um,
Yep.
the funnel involved three components, if I'm correct, right? An opt-in page, a thank you page, and at least the first email in the email sequence.
Exactly. That's
Right.
it.
And brand new topic, right?
Yep.
Technically brand new market, technically brand new niche,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so you absolutely hesitated when I
Oh yeah.
suggested, right? And so talk about that. Like what was your hesitation or your feeling or your reason for not being willing to take on that, I'm going to put it in quotes, big of a project to get done over the course of, well, it would have been 18 hours for you.
I know. Right. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
So
like, yeah, what's the hesitation? Like, what's the real deal?
yep. My main hesitation that like came up initially was lack of sleep. I knew that immediately following the class we had yesterday, I was gonna go back to sleep because yeah, I needed a power nap, and I had no idea how long I was gonna be out for. could have been an 8-hour nap for all I knew. Because yeah, I've had cumulative sleep debt for weeks, and yeah, so that was it, and it wound up only being an hour and a half of extra sleep that I needed. After that, I was good to go. But yeah, that was my initial hesitation, was that, and then also still just like
kind of like when you go shopping while you're hungry. Kind of one of those kind of like you don't want to take on another big project while you're already, completely dragging ass.
kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then also just still feeling a little unsure of what all the pieces would look like going together. And yeah, that being, a mental block. But yeah, having that deadline in place and then just agreeing to it. Yeah, then I had, the realization that came to me that having that deadline for the same day yesterday, by the end of the day, sounded great to me, and I agreed to take that on. And yeah, I'm really glad I did, because it ultimately enabled me to follow through and finish the project.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Actually, I'm going to opt in right now. I want to give you some feedback.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Cool. So I just opted in, and there's your thank you page, and there's your video. Great.
Yep.
All right, rock and roll. Well, guys, if you want to get on Eric's email, so Eric, do you want to tell people what the email list is and who should join it?
Yeah, totally. So I am creating like a community for sharing, cooking, and like vegan cooking specifically. Yeah, it's a huge passion of mine to, cooking in general for years and years and years, my whole life. But yeah, I've been vegan for like 14 years, something like that. So yeah, I have a love for cooking amazing vegan food, and yeah, so much to share in that area. So yeah, I'm creating an email list of vegans or people that are interested in learning how to cook vegan food. And yeah, I'm going to be sharing lots of amazing stuff in there.
Eric, I was just I just had a flash in my mind as you were talking.
Yeah.
So I haven't
Yep.
been to visit you out at your farm yet.
Nope.
How much land is there?
It's like a little under 3.5 acres.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And what's like the largest number of people you've ever had camp or stay there consistently?
Yeah, that's a funny question. So yeah, when I first got the place, years ago, the vision for what we were creating there was like still pretty loose and formulating, and we didn't have like anything really in place, and we just kind of opened the doors
Yeah.
to everybody.
Right.
And yeah, there was a 2-month period where there was a steady flow of a lot of people coming and staying. Some people would stay for a few days, some people would stay for a few weeks, some people would stay for a couple of months. And we took a head count on one of those days near the peak of that period, and there was 27 people.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
But there was probably like a couple of hundred during that period of time. There was it was wild. It was like a festival.
Well, I know that you throw parties, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and you've had people live there and do work exchanges,
Yeah.
and you've been doing all this vegan cooking stuff for years anyway, and I'm assuming you like cooking and sharing your food with people. I mean, a lot of people, I like to cook and share it with people.
Yep.
And so what flashed into my mind is like, dude, you have a space, a beautiful space where you can invite people in for a weekend or a day-long workshop and teach them how to make vegan pizzas.
Right.
Homemade,
Okay.
with all homemade local ingredients or whatever, right? And they pay $120 a piece, and they, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And they walk in with lack of knowledge, and they walk out with like having made 3 awesome recipes, a pile of food, and like laminated recipe sheets or whatever, you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
and
Cool
it
idea.
would be a way for you to create additional revenue on the farm with the farm that's directly
Totally.
related to what you're building online. Do you
Yeah,
see?
it's a good idea. Right. Yep.
Vegan cooking workshops on the farm.
Totally.
Could be cool.
Yep. Right. Make a
Could be
whole
cool.
retreat out of it.
Right. Only using ionized water.
Of course. Yeah.
You should advertise it.
Yeah.
Ionized vegan. Veganized. Veganized. I don't know. That's probably taken. Anyway, vegans and ions. But so I was like, dude, you're doing these videos, but you're not driving them to an opt-in page that has anything to do with veganism. And you knew you needed to do it, but you were hemming and hawing about making decisions on it and like tired, right?
Yep.
So I was like, dude, are you willing to get this done by midnight? You hesitated, but then you agreed.
Yep.
Right? And then what happened? You took a nap?
I took a nap. It was only like an hour and a half. I woke up feeling very refreshed and alert and ready to go. And yeah, I got to work. And initially I thought I was just going to throw something together that was functional and not pretty at all, and just to get something in place. But that's not really how I like to do things. If I'm going to do something, I like to make it nice,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I put in the extra effort to make it as nice as I could in the amount of time that I had. And yeah, I just fully applied myself to that project pretty much all day yesterday, and I got it done. I had a lot of kind of troubleshooting along the way because I'm still kind of learning how to create these systems. It's only like, what is it, like maybe the fourth one that I've created now, and I haven't made one in quite a while. So yeah, it felt really out of practice. So it felt really good to get back, in that, of like practicing that again, because each time it becomes easier and easier, and things where I was like completely stumped in the past, you figure out the
You
next
know
time
exactly where to click. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Although I woke up this morning and I did not have anybody new, nobody had joined my email list while I was sleeping, and I was wondering why. And a friend had reached out letting me know that there was some glitches in my link.
There's a glitch on mobile. I checked earlier
Okay.
today, like an hour and a half ago, maybe
Yep.
hour ago, and there's
Yep.
a glitch on mobile that I just opted in for my laptop, but there's a glitch on mobile where it just says something about saving your information and saving the changes instead of an opt-in box.
I know. Yeah, I fixed that.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I'll double check, but cool.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the point, dude. But that's the point of the deadline.
Exactly.
Like, how much time? So actually, how much time did it take you, start to finish, to actually get the opt-in page, the thank you page, the video for the thank you page, and the first email in the autoresponder sequence, and the campaign that houses the autoresponder sequence within your autoresponder system? How long did it take, soup to nuts, to build this whole thing out? When all is said and done for you?
Let's see. I think it took me a long time. You'll probably laugh when I tell you, but
I don't care how long it takes, but like, what's the answer? What's the deal?
It probably took me like 10 to 12 hours.
Okay, that's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What took the longest about that? Well, like, what either thing or type of thing?
The web builder software that I'm using is really clunky.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be a better one. It's just like, I wish
There's
you could
1,000 better ones there.
I'm sure, right? It's like, you can't just like put something where you want it. There's like all these things you have to adjust on the edges to make it like, and then it's like, but I want the text right there, but it won't go right there. And then trying to like create other alternatives on Canva where I have the text on the photo already, and then import that. Then it shows up. And then the text winds up way off the screen.
Yeah, you don't do it that way. Yeah,
I know.
No, so the challenge you're facing is a real challenge, and it's the problem with well, non-premium funnel building software. I'll just leave it
Okay.
at that. Right? It's
Yep.
basically
Sure.
when you use cheap tools, stuff
Yep.
gets janky, right? Like
Yeah, no
across the
doubt.
board, whatever it is you're trying to build. If you're using good tools, it's easier. If you're using cheap tools, you got to duct tape everything together in weird ways sometimes. You got to super
Yeah.
glue. You got to
Yep.
super glue the handle back on the saw, and it still's kind of loose and whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would have been able to get it done easily in half that amount of time, if not much less, had it just been like a smooth creation process where I wasn't like trying to tweak it each step of the way to make it, come together.
So it did take your entire workday to build it. Okay.
Yeah, it did.
On the other hand, it only took a day to build it.
Exactly.
And
That's
you've been putting it off, like you've been putting off doing some kind of a vegan build for months. Like it's been growing in your mind. You've been doing on and off. You've been doing some vegan food recipes, and you already have known that you have a large vegan following in terms of people that are your friends and like,
right.
just pay
For
attention
at least
to
a
you
month. Yeah.
for lots of different reasons. I mean, if nothing else, then because you've been vegan for 14 years, a lot of other vegans are attracted to you. Makes perfect sense, right?
Totally. Yep.
So, so that's cool though. So that's cool. So you got it done, and deadlines are interesting. Different people respond to different deadlines differently, right? But I have definitely found that when I, with permission, give a deadline to my students, to my paying students, they usually respond. Usually they respond incredibly well and get so much more shit done. And so deadlines are important. But here's a really important point for everybody watching. Deadlines are super important and they're a great accelerator. Having a deadline to some sort of an accountability partner is even better. And having a deadline to someone that you look toward as some sort of a mentor, teacher, someone you have a high degree of respect for, and that you're willing to follow their lead and you believe they know what they're doing. Like someone that you, in some way, I know it sounds a little weird, but in some way you want to please that person, right? Like you want to like do a good job, not just for yourself, but you want them to be impressed too, right? It could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be a business partner, it could be, could be an older sibling, could be a parent, lots of different people. So this is really effective and it's really good. It's also, I found it really hard for me to have deadlines, like as the leader of a company where I'm the guy, in charge. I found it hard because so often I'm in a position where I have nobody else to be accountable to.
Okay, interesting.
And so the way to do that for me is to spend 25 to 100 grand a year for a high level mastermind, a group or private coach in the area, who, like, somebody who's not going to let me weasel my way out of stuff or forget to do my homework, or you know what I mean, like somebody that's going to. But what happens is when you're paying someone that much money, you pay attention. You have something invested, not just your time, not just your success, but you put your money where your mouth is and you invested in that accountability with your hard-earned cash. And so it ups the ante. It, like, the more you have emotionally wrapped up in that deadline and hitting it and doing your best to do a good job with it, like, it moves mountains. It's really cool. It's one of the reasons that it's a great practice to get. So this is one of the reasons what you just experienced is why it's a great practice to get in for at least a while of doing a weekly webinar for almost all direct response email entrepreneurs online who want to build a bigger list, who want to make more money with their existing list. Do a webinar every week, because it's going to mean you build a squeeze page every week, a thank you page every week. You come up with a new headline and topic every week, some different bullet points every week. You have to get quick at building that autoresponder sequence, banging out a few good emails to remind them to come to the webinar. And you get practiced and trained in doing your presentation and engaging with them and dealing with problems, so that like when you're doing one of those a week, you can bang out a squeeze page, with your eyes closed, regardless of whether or not it has to do with a webinar.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Totally. Yep.
And then you can create a product really fast and do a test purchase and make sure the whole thing works well in like 20 minutes with your eyes closed, before you go live, if you've done it a few times. So the practice of like doing a weekly live webinar not only hones your skills for building this stuff quickly, but it also, it's real deadlines, because because you're doing a live event, you're doing a live broadcast. You just did one the other day. You're doing a live broadcast and people are going to be there and show up. And so that's another way of creating personal accountability in your business. If you don't have anybody else to be accountable to, set up a live situation where the people you have to be accountable to are your subscribers. Right?
Totally.
Really good. Really good. Cool. So deadlines move mountains. Deadlines that involve other people are even better. You know what I mean? Where you and several other people are all contributing to making something happen and pulling things together, because it increases communication and questions and conversation and energy so it's not just you in your own little bubble, working on something. Cool. Are you frozen up?
Your side of the screen keeps freezing.
Your side of the screen keeps freezing for me. Well, one of us is having internet problems today. Hopefully the broadcast is coming through okay.
Yeah, it seems really choppy.
Well, alas. Eric, did you have any questions or any other topics you wanted to go into as it relates to productivity and getting shit done?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have a few written down, but then I've got one in my mind too, as far as like organizational skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, do you have various different notebooks for different topics, or do you do all that digitally?
So do all what digitally?
Like take
Be
notes.
more specific about your question.
Okay, yeah, right. Do you take notes digitally, or do you use a paper notebook and or several paper notebooks for different topics?
Okay, the truth is I almost never take notes.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the reason that I use is because I never review notes.
Ah, okay.
So sometimes I take notes. So what I found is that when I'm going to a marketing seminar or mastermind event where there are speakers who are intelligent and are teaching good stuff that will inevitably give me ideas, then I will take notes, and I usually do it in a paper notebook. Because very often events provide notebooks, and so I have a whole bunch of like fancy faux leather notebooks that have like a few pages of notes in them and like the logo of the seminar it came from. Okay. And sometimes what I do while I'm driving is I record an audio message that automatically gets recorded, transcribed, and then emailed to me. And so if I have an idea for like a promotion or the copy flashes into my mind for a sales letter or an angle for an email or something while I'm driving, I'll record something verbally. And then by the time I get back in front of my computer, I have it in written form, and I can turn it into an email, or I can use it as a starting point to write that sales letter or whatever.
Okay.
I guess but this poor note, quote unquote, poor note taking habit on my part started early on in grade school. I just like, if it's almost like if I'm taking notes, I can't pay attention to what's being said,
Okay.
So I find that it's kind of distracting for me to take in and be present if I'm taking notes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah. So, but that's not going to be true of everyone. That's probably not going to be true of most people. That, it's probably kind of a just a personal quirk for me. But yeah,
Right.
in terms of notes, I don't like taking digital notes. If I'm gonna take notes, I prefer paper. I
Yeah.
like the act of writing it out, and a pen and paper feels good to me.
Right. Yeah, I find that with note taking, it does take away from like being fully present, but it also really helps me remember things. And
Yeah.
yeah, definitely prefer taking paper notes. But
Right.
something that I find with my note taking is I have one notebook for everything, and it's a total jumbled mess. Like I've literally started it from, so it starts from this side, but then I also started it from the other side going back the other way, on the upside down side. And yeah, it's been kind of meeting in the middle, and it has no kind of rhyme or rhythm. Some of it's the email empire stuff, some of it's the attraction marketing program stuff, some of it's my own notes for what I'm working on. And yeah, it can be really hard to like reference and even find the right page of the stuff that I'm looking for. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I need to find a better situation for
There
my.
are well, okay. Well, in that case, there are lots of better situations, but you have to pay for them. And
Yeah,
so
sure.
there are a bunch. I'm trying to remember the name of the primary company, but there's one company in particular that was kind of the leaders in this several years ago, and they had these notebooks
Yeah,
that you write in with this special pen. And then as you were writing with the pen, it would like track where the pen was writing on this like invisible grid inside the paper. And then it would transcribe it and send it up to like the equivalent of a Google Doc. So
really.
you had a
Wow.
written version and you have a transcribed version. And if you're taking notes while someone is talking, it will record the audio transcription, and you can go back and actually press the audio button and listen to what was being said at the point you took the note.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, but it's expensive, and you have to buy these
Yeah, but
expensive ass notebooks, and then that's your one system you have to stick with. And if at some point, they go out of business or whatever, you're kind of screwed. So
right,
it's
right.
but it's a kind of interesting process.
Yeah,
If you're a note taker and you're looking to create, to plug in, that might be something that could be helpful for you.
yeah, definitely.
I'll look it up and see if I can find the company.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. Speaking of my disorganized notebook, I had the page with the other questions I wanted to ask you. Okay, here they are. I found it. But yeah, I immediately misplaced the page when I was shuffling through it.
All right.
So here's a good one. How do you manage to achieve a healthy work-life balance, or do you?
Yeah. Um, I I think that work-life balance happens over a long period of time. I don't think it happens at any one moment,
Okay.
honestly. I think
Yep.
I think the idea of work-life balance is a sweet, idyllic myth. Like, let me ask you a question.
All right.
Do you think most gold medal Olympians have a work-life balance?
Probably not. They're probably training all the time.
All that their life is probably training all the time. Now, does that mean you have to be an Olympian as an entrepreneur? No, it doesn't mean
No, you
that.
don't have to be.
Most
You
people
can
aren't even
choose.
going to try. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the less fixated, the less obsessed, the less completely, insanely driven you are, probably the better your work-life balance is. Work-life balance for me has definitely become easier with experience, but it's also become necessary because I've experienced a great deal of loss in my personal life as the result of being far too focused on money and business, even though I didn't think I was. I thought much earlier in my entrepreneurial marketing career, I thought that I was making gobs of money, that I had a healthy relationship with my children, that my marriage was stable and good, that my financial situation was solid, that like I was getting in better shape. I kept on coming up with great ideas, kept on home run after home run after home run, lived in the $1 million home. Like everything was glorious.
Yeah.
But I was also completely and totally incorrect in my perception of what was going on
All right.
in my personal relationships and my family relationships, that in like the underpinning, all the invisible stuff that's not surface layer success. Like that stuff is so easy to not pay attention to if you're making gobs of money, because you can distract yourself with all sorts of stuff when you got cash. So my experience with work-life balance has been more like it gets more balanced after I get my ass kicked.
All right.
Like truth, like when do people change their diet? Well, often after a heart attack, right? So and obviously the way everyone wants to live their life is unique. It's different. It's completely unique to all of us.
Totally.
One thing I was going to encourage you to check out, Eric, is the Pareto principle.
Pareto principle. Okay.
AKA the 80-20 rule, but the Pareto principle for time management, and intermittent sleeping.
All right.
Kind of like intermittent fasting, except intermittent sleeping. I know that your sleep cycles have been kind of weird as you've been getting up earlier.
Yep.
And like here's a simple version, but if I were you, since it's fucking you up, I'd read up on it. The simple version is sleep when you're tired.
Yep. Okay.
Then get up and work your ass off for like 45 minutes and then do something else. And so, especially if you're like single, not actively living with anyone and not really having to bow down to anybody else's schedule, like you can work whenever you want to work and wherever your brain and your body are like
totally
tuned in. You can sleep whenever you want to sleep, and it doesn't have to be for 8 hours at night, right?
Yeah.
It could be,
and that's kind of been the case.
Yeah. It could be like 3 2.5 hour chunks or something.
Okay.
Or you know what I mean? And like, who knows where your sweet spot is. But while you're in this like unique, in my opinion, unique stage of your life, at least this window of time where you have no one in your living space that's dictating your schedule other than you.
Totally.
There's no reason to be tired all the time. Just sleep when you're tired.
Right.
You know, it's all good. It doesn't have to be at night. And so looking into the Pareto principle and putting on timers at specific increments of time for you to crank on the important stuff, I think will allow you to get less drained and more revitalized by the activities that you're working on. So anyway, yeah, Paredo. We can talk about it more later, but I think it might be helpful for you.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Cool. Well, yeah. Anything else you want to get into today?
Yeah, here's a good one. What role does networking and building relationships play in the entrepreneurial journey? And do you have any tips for effective networking?
Yeah. So this is a good reason to carry a notebook, right? And so number one, so I definitely have tips for networking. All right. Okay. And I don't like networking. I don't like being social for social's sake. I don't like smiling at people I don't like. Like, I don't like
Totally.
giving people fake compliments and all this other BS. I'm not interested most of the time in like social niceties. That's not my personality type. Okay. I am extroverted, but I don't like meeting a big pile of people for no good reason. Like,
Right.
I'd rather get out of my hair. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, oh, another crowd. You know? So, on the other hand, if I have a mission, if I have a reason, if I have a purpose,
Yep.
then I'm good to go. Okay. Then I'm
Okay,
like,
cool.
all right, let me go in there and like get the job done. That's how I operate. I mean, it's a little weird, but it's kind of like a hunter type mentality.
Mhm.
And so personally, if I want to make more money, I go to marketing conferences. That's it. Bottom line, my people are at marketing conferences. All of my colleagues are at marketing conferences. All of my best customers are at marketing conferences. People I'm going to learn, my mentors are all at marketing conferences. Hanging out at marketing conferences and marketing mastermind groups are my number one group of people that I can spend time with to make more money in my business
Cool.
and I can network with. So that's number one, is know where the people are that you can actually help you to make more money, and that you can help to make more money. It goes both ways. It's not just about you sucking them dry. Like, where can you add the most value and really bring the most
Totally.
value to them and what they're working on too. That has to be, in harmony. And so, number one. Number two is that usually when I'm on the plane, on my way to one of these types, and this also works for webinars, guys. This works for webinars and Zoom groups and that kind of stuff as well. But when I'm on the plane, I will write down exactly what my goal is in terms of who am I looking for, or what types of opportunities am I looking to find. Okay.
Yep.
And this isn't just about focusing my mind on looking for those types of people and situations, though that is a big part of it. A bigger part is being clear and having it down to one or two sentences of who I'm looking for and what I'm looking for, so I can relay it in a clear enough way to the people that I talk to that they all then go out and find those people for me, because they're all there networking too. And so if I'm clear on what I want and I can convey that to them when the time is appropriate, and if they're in a networking type environment and event, and if they're in a networking kind of mood, if I'm like, yeah, my name's Telman Knudsen and I teach email marketers how to make way more money with their email list using marketing mascots. So if you know anybody who has an email list that's not making as much money as they used to, and they'd love to have a windfall of cash, and they're looking for some creative marketing approaches, totally introduce me. That would be super awesome. Okay. Hey, my name's Telman Knudsen. I help entrepreneurs to get shit done. We have a group online that helps to support you in getting more productive, doing the things that really matter in your business. So if you know anybody who's kind of like stuck in on the profitability, oh, this is good. The profitability plateau. I just made that one up. Stuck on the profitability plateau. Here's the answer. Let's go get shit done. And so it's that simple. I'm looking for entrepreneurs who are trying to be more productive, right? And are looking for a interactive and cool way to do that. So if you can get super clear on who you're looking for, ideally attach a number to it. If you're looking for 10 strategic partners to help you promote Get Shit Done, and .com, and that they all have email lists of internet marketers, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and coaches who want to make more money in less time, then that's it, right? Go to getshitdone.com. It's not that complicated. So when you're clear on that, it is so much easier for you and for other people to find exactly who or the situations that you're looking for. So that's the second piece. The third piece is an extension of that, which is if you're going with a crew, if it's you and your employees or your team or your partner, your business partner, your life partner, whatever, if you're going with someone else, make sure you're both on the same page and going after that same thing. And like if you're looking for 10 strategic partners, like make a place to write down each one of their names and phone numbers. Don't go and hand out business cards. Okay? If you want to take business cards, that's great, but don't bring any and don't hand them out. Nobody's ever going to call you. Okay? Don't waste your time with that crap. Take people's business cards, make a note of who they are and why to call them, and call them on the way home. Right? That's the third piece, is that everybody else is going to be trying to shove their business cards down your throat. Right? And so, like, find out what they're looking for, find out what they need, write it down on the business card, stick it in your pocket, call them or text them on the way home, and do your best to help them out. That way, that short-term networking event becomes a long-term networking event. And the next time you see them, they're going to freaking love you and would be more than happy to introduce you to somebody if they haven't already. So don't make it about one event. Make it about, you're going to be seeing these people over and over and over again for the next decade. Act like it. You know, you know what I mean? Whether it's your local BNI chapter or whether you're going to traffic and conversion once a year, you know, whatever it is, it's just like you're going to be seeing these people. If you stay in the game, you're going to be seeing these people for a few decades. Like,
right.
Be cool, you know, like be friendly and be helpful. Those are my top networking tips.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's great.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we are good. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. All right. Well, it's Friday, July 7th. It's 2:18. Do you know what time it is?
It's time to get shit done.
It's time to get shit done. All right, guys, go get some shit done before the weekend. All right. And come back and pop into the comments what shit you got done in the last 24 hours. We want to hear all about it. All right. This is Telman and Eric. Over and out.
Over and out.
Toodles.